Hi, Garry Hnatowich, co-research director at ICDC. Standing in front of a trial where we're looking at field peas, and this is a project that is funded by the Saskatchewan pulse growers. The conception of the project was started by our brilliant colleagues at the Western Agricultural Research Corporation at Scott. And they're being assisted by 3 other agri-arm sites. The Western Conservation Area at Swift Current, Northeast Agricultural Research Foundation at Melfort, and by ICDC here in Outlook. The intent is actually to look at root rots in peas. Obviously, in particular, Aphanomyces, which has been a real problem throughout Western Canada for a number of years now. Now, there's nothing that we found that we can either bottle or bag that is going to eliminate Aphanomyces and prevent the pathogen from affecting the peas. But there might be some agronomic practices or inputs that we can do that can mitigate the damage such that yield that we obtain from those inputs may be cost effective. We're coming off the tail end of a global pandemic, and if it's taught us anything, we know that people that are healthy have a better chance of surviving, the virus that we're presently dealing with. Well, the same premise works for plants. If we can keep, those plants healthier, maybe they can withstand the pathogen to a greater degree. So towards that end, we've got a study where we're looking at a variety of inputs. It's factorial in nature, so we're looking at a multiple applications of our combination of different products. To begin with, we're looking at herbicides, pre-seed herbicide applications. So half the plots in this study have got glyphosate. The other half also have glyphosate, but we put on trifluralin applications. We're looking at seed treatments. Half of the trials, not quite half, there are a couple controls in here where we have no seed treatment whatsoever. The remainder either have Vibrance Max or Vibrance Max and Intego applied to the seed. We're looking at fertility. Half the plots have just a base rate of 20 pounds of P2O5 applied, in addition to a granular rhizobial inoculant, which is the rhizobial inoculant is consistent all the way through. Or we've gone to a higher fertility rate. We're looking at 50 P2O5, 20 K2O, and 10 pounds of sulfur. So either 20 with 20 by itself, or the higher blend of higher rates of P, K, and S. And then on top of that, on a couple trials in here, we've come in at herbicide timing, really, for post-emergent herbicide timing, and we've applied a micronutrient blend product that is purported to show some greater degree of, again, yield response on Aphanomyces affected field weeds. A little bit of history about this field. This is a field that traditionally, when we don't have research trials on it, this site is typically full of research plots. You can see in the background here, this is the only plot that's established this year. And the reason is, when we take the field out of research, they go into filler blocks for a number of years to fit our rotation. Historically, when we put a pulse into this rotation, it's field peas. About 8-9 years ago, we were into a wet cycle, and Aphanomyces showed itself on this field to the extent that we could no longer produce field peas. We tried it for a couple of years, in that rotational effect, and virtually the peas that we did get to establish became a green manure because we plowed them down. They weren't worth harvesting. After that point in time, we've come back in, and the pulse of choice for us on these fields has been soybeans. So we soil tested, we knew we had a Aphanomyces presence on this field. We still have. even after 6 or 7 years. It is still present on this field. So that's why it's the only trial. We came back in on it and conducted the trial here. And that's the same at the other 3 agar-arm sites. They all have a presence of Aphanomyces. We came in a few weeks ago, and in fact we came in twice. We came in at 5 weeks after emergence and at 8 weeks after emergence, and we excavated or dug up roots. We washed them off, and we assessed those roots for the presence and degree of root rot within the trials. And we also looked at nodulation. Again, numbers and distribution of nodules. We found Aphanomyces at both sampling times, and by week 8, we had severe Aphanomyces in some of these plots. Nodulation, not as affected as greatly as the Aphanomyces. So even though we had Aphanomyces there, we did have nodulation occurring, and those nodules were in fact fixing nitrogen. But the Aphanomyces by root or by 8 week was rampant throughout it, and we didn't find any particular treatment that mitigated that degree of Aphanomyces incidence. I don't know if Ted can pan to the background here or to the foreground. You can see I'm standing in front of actually 3 plots, and there's a couple in the background that you can see a green tinge on. But there are others that have been decimated. And the bottom line is, this is a replicated trial, so this treatment immediately behind me, you can find at 3 other places within the field. Looking good in rep 1, you go into rep 3, and this particular treatment is decimated. So there's going to be some noise from this location in the yield data. I'm hoping that we can superimpose an aerial photograph that was taken yesterday that will give you a better idea of the incidence. And this is the problem with pathogens in general. We like to work with input products, and we talk about uniform applications. We come in with a pesticide and we spray it. We know we're getting a uniform application. We spread a fertilizer or a band of fertilizer. We know we're getting a uniform application. Pathogens don't work that way. They tend to have hot spots, or often they can have hot spots, and this is typical with Aphanomyces, where certain areas of the field will be affected more than others. So presence is here, but there are hot spots, and the aerial photograph will show that up. My understanding is, at least from Scott this year at Warwick, they are seeing what they believe may be, some treatment effects that are assisting in the plant. But I think here, under irrigated conditions, and we've watered reasonably heavily, I don't think we are going to see much of a treatment effect. However, this is the second and final year of this trial. ICDC will gather all of the information from the other 3 sites, and we will write up a combined report over the course of the 2 years of testing for all 4 sites. I am sure that each of those individual 4 sites will have their results specific to their area posted on their website, next spring, by next spring. And certainly the combined report will be provided to the pulse growers, who, again, I am positive will have that report available on their website. So stay tuned, look for those reports sometime likely in March.